82 has become a classic story of one step forward, two steps back. She is running. Had to put some smaller tires on the front because the 255s were rubbing. So I've got, I believe, 225s on there now for the 17-inch wheels. I pulled it into the garage yesterday and noticed a puddle of power steering fluid underneath it. So I thought, these lines, probably one of them had ruptured or something. No, that wasn't it. It is leaking right out of the top of the power steering box. So all of that needs to be replaced. My father has a replacement for this steering shaft as well to get rid of the rag joint, so I'll go ahead and install that. But all that's got to come off. So that kind of sucks. I am working on getting the air conditioning bracket on. I am going to have to turn this a few degrees this way to get it all to fit in there and fast enough, and I need some longer bolts, but I'm starting that process. And since all that power steering stuff has to come off, I'm going to go ahead and pull off the whole power steering bracket, alternator bracket there. I'm going to go ahead and powder coat it, that translucent blue like the valve covers and the front cover and whatever. Get that done. And I guess I'm just going to go ahead and pull apart the front of the engine. I'm going to have to remove that the crank pulley so that I can remove the front cover so that I can get a bung welded in for a turbo oil return. So I will be getting that done here pretty quickly. So good times for that. This exhaust is coming off. It's going on the Dark Knight because, of course, with the turbo, my exhaust is going to be a bit different. I think I found a solution and a plate to mount all of this to get this cleaned up and pretty. So I'll be working on that. Took out my seats. The bucket seats that I got from the Honda, I'm afraid may be a little too wide. Right now it's about an inch too wide to fit down into the floor pan that I need. So I'm pulling out the carpet to see if that gives me enough room to get it fit in there. And look at what I found. A veritable treasure trove. Roy Orbison, the all-time greatest hits thereof. Dad'll love that. Too bad the tape's not still there. Let's see, we've got somebody's groovy owl-like glasses. What's this? I don't know. I bet you that went to a little bitty vodka bottle. What do we got under here? Ray-Bans. Minus the Ray-Bans. Yeesh. It's very antivirusy. Oh man. So, I'll get that cleaned out. I'm gonna pull this carpet out. There's a piece of paper under there. I bet that's build sheet. We'll be snipping that off of there and seeing if anything is readable. I unplugged the computer. I'm trying to save screws. Remember where they all went. Here's all the pieces that I've taken out. So, yeah, it does run. It really, really does. I rerouted the brake lines yesterday like we did on the Dark Knight. Much happier with that. Looks better. Much to do. So much to do. Alright, carpet is out. Floor pans look pretty good. It looks like it was leaking some water over in the passenger footwell. The carpet and the pad and whatever was wet there, and this thing has been in the garage here for several, well, no, I guess I just pulled it in yesterday. Anyway, so I've got a leak somewhere, I guess from the cowl or something. It's leaking down into that footwell, so I'm going to have to figure that out. These seats that I was so happy about aren't going to work. I'm going to go ahead and call that. Unfortunately, they're just a bit too wide. They won't sit down in that wheel well, and I don't want to try and get in here and modify this whatever, and that's exactly what I would have to do to make that work. So I'm gonna have to get some more narrow seats. So these are going on Craigslist. If anyone would like some 2-door Accord bucket seats, I will make you a screaming deal. Carpet is ugly and disgusting. I'm glad it's gone. Yeah, I'm sure that is quite the petri dish for nastiness. But it is out. And I think I've got a leak somewhere up under here. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But I'm also gonna have to figure out some new seats now. We'll see what happens there. Did a whole lot of work slowly today. Got that bracket positioned about where it's gonna go. I have to do a connector to go from this hole to the water pump. So I'll get that done. I was able to heat up the base of this water pump, and I put a broomstick down into this neck and turned it over a few degrees so everything fits nice. So that is looking pretty good. Not a whole lot of room for a turbo anymore. A little concerned about that. I did not want to cut into the wheel well, this plastic wheel well, but I may not have a choice. There's just no room. We'll get that figured out. Get AC run. Since my power steering box was leaking, or my steering box was leaking, went ahead and busted all that loose and got the power steering and the alternator bracket out of there. I am going to powder coat that alternator bracket while I've got it off to match the rest of the blue on the engine. And I'm going to have to pop loose that pitman arm from the rest of the steering and unbolt all of that. Good times. Wasn't expecting that, but well, what do you expect with a 30-year-old car? Or a 35-year-old car? Anyway. As always, much to do. I am up early in the morning. I am decapping injectors. Got all the injectors out and I have a few spares. This is what they look like before you're done. This is what they look like when you're done. And from what I understand, this takes them from about 25 pounds to about 75 pounds. I have a gentleman that is going to flow and test them so that I can match the closest 8 for a set. As you can see, I'm missing some O-rings on the tops of that, and I've written myself a note that there are 3 O-rings still in the fuel rail, so I don't forget that. Shala is going to film me in the decapping process. I've got a 1/2-inch 12-point. And I'm using it on my impact wrench, but it seems to be getting the job done. And my grinder. So we'll see how this goes. That bench fits nicely. And what I do is I kind of brace this with my finger, but of course you can't get too close to the grinding wheel, and I go backwards so that I can put a little pressure against it. cap flew off somewhere in there. That's what you're looking for.